Okay. Hi, Carol. Welcome to the Masterminders, to those who really want to make a difference in their lives. And obviously, for the last few weeks, we've been focusing on Brendan Borchards' book, Performance Habits. And today we're focusing on the third one, Raising Necessity. One that's very close to my heart because it's one I really feel like I need to be challenged and stretch in. And just to recap a little bit, back to last week, Brendan Borchard was saying the four forces to raise necessity, to kind of motivate necessity, are identity, obsession, duty, and urgency. So identity and obsession are inner motivators, and duty and urgency are more external motivators. So we're going to focus just on the first one. It's not going to be a long evening tonight. We're going to focus on identity. So essentially, identity is our guiding system that urges you to stay who you are, to live consistently with the image that you have of yourself, and to grow to be your best self. So it's that focus that shapes and reshapes our identity throughout our life. So pretty core. And personal standards of excellence and obsession are very powerful in determining our ability to succeed over the long term. So he says that high performers hold themselves to very high standards. They care about excellence. They care about the detail of what the outcomes look like. And they don't necessarily have to enjoy what it is that they're trying to achieve. You know, for example, you think about a top athlete, when he's sweating out there doing 100 press-ups and 500 sit-ups and all those kind of things, and your muscles are aching, that's not necessarily enjoyment. But the pursuit of a higher goal is part of his identity. So it's about not necessarily enjoying the process sometimes, but it's really being very motivated to achieve a certain goal or whatever it is that's important to you. And he says high performers are people that check in with themselves several times a day to see if they're actually on target, to see if they're engaged in the process they set for themselves, engaged in the strategy, engaged in the list of things to do, and they're checking in. So I think a very important indicator of whether you're on track with being a high performer when it comes to raising necessity, to ask yourself, do you track yourself? Do you have a way of measuring how you're doing? And he's basically saying if you don't have a way of measuring or checking in, then you're going to miss the target. And apparently people who set goals and monitor themselves or self-monitor are 2.5 times more likely to achieve those goals. So quite a strong emphasis on checking in. In fact, low performers are the exact opposite. They don't check in with themselves a lot. They don't have a high level of awareness, and they're not always very conscious of how their behavior or their actions impact on other people. And a very key element of high performance in this area of raising necessity is that high performers have an identity and get a lot of enjoyment in linking growth as very important in their life. Okay, so the thing I kind of encouraged you to think about last week, and then I'd like you to write down now, is what are the 3 things that you can uniquely do? Something about how you have had life experience, something about who you are. What are those 3 unique things that you can only do? And if you don't do it, other people are going to miss out, or a certain circumstance or a certain consequence is not going to happen. It's really critical that you do it. What 3 things can you list that is really something very unique to you, something that you can only do it in this particular kind of way? Okay, do you need a little bit more time?
Yes.
Okay.
Needs 3 more minutes.
3 more minutes, no problem. No rush. How are you doing, Stephen?
Trying to spell necessity, and I don't know why I'm struggling to spell it. But anyway, I think I've got it correct. But I've jotted down my 3 points.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Necessity is one of those tricky ones.
Necessity.
Anyway, we won't have a look at your spelling.
Okay, I'm ready when everyone else is.
Okay. Everybody else ready? I think I'm just going to unmute everybody. I can. Okay. Sure. I usually can unmute, but I'm not sure. I think you're going to have to unmute yourselves. So anybody like to share at least 1 or 2 of what you've written down as your unique contribution into the world or into life or people?
I can. I've got 3. Encourage others who have grown discouraged. Point number 2: reaching out to those whom no one else has reached out to. And number 3: speaking positive over someone whom society has written off.
Brilliant. Wow, really cool. So how would you feel if you didn't achieve those things?
The other person will sadly miss out.
Okay, I agree. Anybody else like to share what they wrote?
Mine's a little more practical. in the sense that literally my profession, not many people can do what I do.
Okay.
Because
Sure.
as a court reporter for my profession, I literally take down the spoken word.
Okay.
So I keep the record of the court or the deposition or whatever, and if I cannot do my job, then there's no record of the daily's transactions.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's pretty important. That would be chaos. Lots of repeat trials. That is important. Okay, was there anything else, Ronnie, that felt more close to your passion than your profession?
My passion is all around design, cooking, anything sort of creative. So whenever I go home to Canada, my whole family is like, okay, Ronnie's home, Ronnie's cooking.
So everybody would go hungry to cook.
They all expect me to take over the kitchen.
Okay, well, that's a beautiful gift as well. Okay. Nice way of contributing. I know that was my mom's big way of contributing, to be able to cook amazing meals. I think that's why I never learned to cook. She was just so good at it. Yeah.
So was my mom. I think I was inspired by my mother and my grandmother, but
okay.
Everybody's inspired by different things, and I think I paint, I draw, I design. People come to me for
People come to you for advice.
Or just, can you do this for me?
Okay. Yeah, you're a very giving person. Okay.
Maybe too much.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that, Ronnie. Okay, anybody else who wants to share their 3 particular contributions?
Yes, Claude, yeah. Okay. I would say also very practical. Teaching mathematics. I enjoy teaching mathematics, and I think I have a good gift for teaching it.
Awesome.
And
I think teaching is a gift itself.
I can use your help, Claude.
Investing and trading in cryptocurrencies, like how to get on board with cryptocurrencies and invest and trade.
Okay.
But I don't think that's totally unique to me. Other people can do it, but maybe I can do it in a particular way, which is unique.
Okay. Sounds like you have a great skill to be able to communicate knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really good. I mean, sometimes it's really hard to ask for information if somebody communicates it to you in the wrong way. You know, like in a way that you don't really understand it and you feel like an idiot. Or, yeah, so I think being able to share knowledge in a way that really gets through to somebody else is a great gift. So how would you feel if you didn't contribute that?
Yeah, I'd feel like I wasn't giving of myself, so
okay.
I wouldn't see the reward of people learning. So,
okay. So you'd feel like other people would really miss out.
Yeah.
And you'd also miss out on giving.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Bernie. Carol, do you want to share your 3 things?
Hi. I'm just actually battling with the sound a bit. I didn't hear Ronnie, what Ronnie had to say. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just battling with the sound. So yeah, I said well, I don't think unique to me is obviously the sales is my selling ability, the sales of my liqueurs. I don't think anybody's going to be able to do that the way that I can. I'm trying very hard to get other people to do to be able to do it.
Share the load.
Yeah, that would obviously help enormously, and I've got to get that right to move on. And the second thing I said is okay, it's a little bit related, but again, the design of the everything that goes into designing them and producing them and all of that. It's pretty much got my handwriting all over it.
Sure.
And then the third thing is being a mother to my boys. I think I'm pretty that in that respect. I don't think anybody else could do that.
Yeah.
The way I do it.
Oh, sure. I think that's a very good point. I think only you could be their mom. And I think your peers.
Admittedly by default, but there it is.
Yeah. And I think your liqueurs and the way you've designed it, promoted it, sell it is very unique. So how would you feel not being a mom or not being in the industry that you have personally created?
Yeah, that's a tricky one to answer because it is only, I haven't really been doing it for that long. It's only been a couple of years, and it was like a major change for me. I think the thing that has sort of highlighted it for me is the way, how passionate I do things versus how I did things before.
Okay.
Same motivations, different passions, different approaches, different thresholds to setbacks and perseverance.
Would you say the difference between now and the past is partly to do with having a clearer sense of your own identity?
Yeah, I haven't really thought of it like that, but possibly.
Because I think that's kind of part of.
I'll put it down to a passion.
Okay.
Passion, clearer sense of one's identity. Yeah. I don't know if those two are interlinked or running parallel.
Okay. So you're not sure if passion and identity are interlinked or it's kind of parallel. I feel like if you really know who you are and what you want, there's an excitement about it that then becomes a passion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Just my thoughts. They don't have to be the truth, just some thoughts.
No, but I think I would agree with that.
Okay. So Helen, you're kind of new with us, and I'm not sure if you feel like unmuting yourself and sharing anything, or whether that's sort of challenging. We'd love to hear from you if you are. And Bernie, welcome a little bit late. We're glad that you made it. I know that you're a mom with lots of children and a busy life, so very cool that you jumped on board. I think you missed out on what we were actually up to right now when you walked in. We were just talking about what it is that we could contribute into life, into people, that is unique only to us making that contribution. Something that nobody else could do the same way that we do it. So I know you haven't had a chance to think about that, but if anything jumps out, maybe Helen would like to chat. I see you've unmuted yourself. Maybe Helen would like to share a little bit while you give it a bit of thought, Bernie.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yeah, we can. Hi, Helen.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, did you want to ask something?
Oh, I was just going to ask where you're from.
I've been living in Cyprus for a number of years, and I've just come back to South Africa.
Okay.
So it's really cool to be back home.
Wow.
Yeah. And, what you just asked, when it's unique to just you, I see that with certain things, there's a commonality. If somebody says, for example, that they can make other people feel comfortable, but it's just the way that you do it. So when you're saying unique, that's quite a deep request to ask, because the way you present something is in your uniqueness. And with myself, I find that I have absolute no fear when I have to speak to people, whether it's to a crowd of 10,000 or to a certain person, an individual on their own. I find that it's very important to make someone feel very comfortable in their skin so that you can bring out the best in them. And I like to help people to identify what their passions are and see what the gifts are that they were born with. And that for me is the uniqueness, you know, because I feel we were all born naked and with all the gifts and talents within us, and that is what creates your currency in this world.
Sure.
Because having come from Cyprus now, for example, I don't know if you're aware that there was a complete haircut with the entire country losing their income and their money in the banks, that suddenly you didn't have your job and you had to plug back into your gift and talent to create an income for yourself. And that forces us then to face ourselves. I love to look at people's self-belief and see what it is that is their limiting factor, you know, in terms of how they feel about themselves. And I was born a twin, and I found that everybody always compares you when you're a twin, and it's very important to look at the person as an individual and not to always be compared to somebody else, because we're not designed to be somebody else. Otherwise, God would have made two of everything, you know. I find that I don't have a problem with discriminating against age. If I see a child or an adult, I'll treat them equally with love and respect and just see how they tick. I have the ability also to get into a lot of different industries and perform in them, regardless of being trained at university or not. So I find it exciting to be challenged and to make a difference to humanity, and to make sure that when we're in a room and you walk away, that at least you've left something behind, or you've gained something from somebody else. So there's always an exchange.
Okay, wow.
And I love to.
That's amazing, because I think you kind of integrated a whole lot of things, because I think, you know, being a twin was obviously a very big motivating thing to being an individual and being yourself. And you have so much sort of passion for finding that in other people and liberating that in other people, that you're fearless, you know, because you're not thinking about yourself and you're not thinking about, am I doing this good enough? Or it's very kind of focused on the other person. So I think that was very special. So how would, and you're probably very adaptable, because you've very much focused on other people and what's needed in the situation. So,
but I'll tell you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll just say something. Thank you for that. I just want to mention something though, that the biggest lesson, I think, well, for me, and I won't stay long on the chat because I know everyone wants to share, was that, you know, when you say love your neighbor as you love yourself, very often we care more for others and we don't really know who we are. And just spending that time with ourselves to get to know who we really are and be comfortable with who we were designed to be, and not who society or family or culture had tried to enforce on us, is very important. And it's not about the age thing, but the later we learn this in life, the more we're going to struggle. And that was a big lesson for me, at this very, well, much elderly age.
Wow.
Older age.
Sounds like you've discovered some very essential truths, and it's really cool that you're very motivated to pass that on. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Bernie, are you ready to jump in?
Well, hi.
Hi.
I think Helen has pretty much said what came to my mind also.
Okay.
To me, what's important is knowing who I am, trying to find the real person, the true person whom God created when He created me, and me giving of myself from that point, being true to myself, and yes, contributing from that space without trying to be somebody else. I think that is what is very important, and that is where our uniqueness, where we can project our uniqueness, from. So to me, I think it's important to just be, to try and understand who I am, and to operate from a space where to project myself from that space where I'm just ordinary, but make something extraordinary out of my being ordinary.
Okay.
Yes, because I think life is, we sometimes we forget, or we do not realize that life happens at the point where things are just basic, and we try to complicate things. So I'm just trying to go back to the basics, to understand where I'm coming from, and to appreciate things as they are, and to appreciate whom God made when whom God created when He created me. Rather to strip myself of my ego and to remember to be humble all the time. I think from that space I can contribute from a point of my being unique, because when you are, when you try to be somebody else, or when you try to please other people, and when we don't strip ourselves of our egos, it is not easy. And really, mostly that's where we are. A lot of us, where our egos are in control of what we do. We would like to project certain things or certain ways of lives. But when I've been self-reflecting a lot these days, I've just been praying and asking God that I go back to the basics. And if I could just strip myself of my ego, then my true being would come out. And if I can give of myself from that space, I think I can be true and project my my uniqueness.
Okay. Wow. It's also some amazing truths. Sounds like you've been doing a lot of reflecting and really being humble and truthful and authentic enough just to going back to being you. And although that sometimes feels pretty ordinary, it's a very unique greatness. And expressing yourself from that place, as you've been saying, is so much more powerful than from what you call an ego place, or a place of pretending to be something you aren't. So, yeah, that's very exciting. Okay, well, my things that I feel quite urgent about, actually, because I'm concerned I'm going to run out of time, are things that really link what has been a unique journey for me in terms of linking emotional healing with conservatory outcomes, and various ways of expressing that through what I call changing mindset bush camps, to kind of minimize elephant culling, kind of getting people to reconnect with themselves through nature, writing my book of my own journey in that experience and people who've traveled with me, and then doing dolphin human interaction research. So those feel like things that I can uniquely contribute. They're really, really important to me. And I guess my greatest anxiety is running out of time in terms of making that expression in the world. So on that note, let's finish off this evening by answering a question. If you were to wake up tomorrow morning, what is the one thing that you would do that would get you closer or more active in expressing yourself in your own unique way, in the ways that you've listed? What is the one thing you do if you woke up tomorrow morning? One thing that you do differently?
Are you asking something that we do differently on a daily basis, or something that we would do differently tomorrow?
Could be either. Just something that would put into action what it is you're wanting to uniquely contribute. It would be an action step. So maybe for you, would you
For me, it's
meditate? Would you pray? How would you strip down that onion to get to the core? What would you do? Would you connect with a mentor? What would you do?
for me, it's waking up in gratitude, in prayer. I begin my day I try by all means to begin my day in prayer. But always, it's giving gratitude, giving my gratitude to God, to my Maker, to the Creator, and trying by all means to set my intentions for the day.
Good. So you start off being prayerfully reflective, grateful, and set your intention for the day. Great,
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share how they would start their day off that would put into action their own uniqueness? I suppose for me, I would start writing again. It's kind of taken a bit of a back seat while I've been on holiday. So that would be my action step. Anybody else want to say anything? It's okay if you want to still think about it.
Mandy?
Yep.
Mandy, just repeat the question again, please, just once. If you were to wake up in the morning, what would you do?
What would you do? What step of action would you take to contribute that uniqueness that you've been talking about? So I guess for you,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so to do that, I think it's important to, is it fine to speak, or is somebody else wanting to?
No, sure. Carry on.
I think it's very important to visualize what it is that you want first, and it's also good to do it the night before, because when you go to bed, it's the only time that you can really clear. Well, you never really clear your mind, but you understand, so that when you wake up, you're starting so fresh, the mind's in a different state, that you can actually create that new day with that intention in mind. So when you have that vision and you have the thought, and you attach emotion to it with excitement, and believe that it's already done, then you actually can follow through with those steps, because the plan's already in place. So it's like an architect already having the plan drawn out, and now he just needs to build it. If you wake up with no vision and no intention and no excitement, then it's just a thought that's going to disintegrate and dissipate. So if we have the clarity, the excitement, and the vision, and put it into action, then the results will come, no matter what anybody else says. So the self-talk is critical in order for that to be achieved, I believe.
Okay, so I like that as well. I think prior to doing Brendan Borchard, we talked together around the book Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. So what you've been saying fits quite well into that. So you would start not in the morning, you'd start the night before with the visualization, the passion, the excitement, and really set the intention the night before. It's also a great idea, because I think often we think that sleeping is the end of the day, but sometimes sleeping is actually the beginning of the day, when our mind is very alert and active on a whole different kind of level. And as you say,
absolutely,
also suggesting to our subconscious that which we want to be a reality, that then brings it into a reality. So thanks for that, Helen. Very great truth.
And something, sorry, Something else that really does help that is also if you decide to do a little bit of a workout in the morning, an exercise where you're increasing the heart rate. So if you have something to achieve and you go for a walk or a run or elevate the heart rate and speak that into existence as if it is in the now, the present, things also start to happen. It's unbelievable.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Those are very helpful techniques. Both you and Bernie. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
Hi, Adam. We're right near the end, I'm afraid, but nice to see you. Anybody got any other suggestions?
I tend to agree with Bernadette.
Okay, you like
It's price connect to God's, and then from there, with the inspiration that you get, you make your an intentional decision to carry out those ideas that inspired you
okay.
to bless others.
Okay. I think a lot that's coming in is something that Brendan Borchardt comes back to all the time is self-reflection and checking in and yeah. Okay, well, if nobody else is burning to say something, and so sorry, Adam, that you've just arrived and we're ending. But hopefully you'll listen to the recording and get some amazing truths that have been shared tonight. So yeah, lovely to see everybody and check in again with you next week. So next week, the second part of Raising Necessity is obsession. So I think we've kind of touched a little bit on that with the visualizations and the setting intentions and reflecting. But maybe as you go through this week, maybe think about what is the difference between passion and obsession. Okay, so you're welcome to unmute yourselves and say goodnight. And then I'm going to end off. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Cheerio. Cheers.